We all know that logs are really, really good places to fish. But what are the best type of logs to search out? Whoa! That's a beauty. Good morning, guys and girls. July 23. We're going to be looking at 1 Corinthians 15:33. 15:33. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Bad friends will ruin good habits. Whoa, that's a tough one right there. That's a tough one. Bad friends will ruin good habits. Most of the tournament guys have one or two friends whom they become really, really tight with. They travel together, they eat together, they room together, and they either practice together, or at least they share information. They'll talk to each other during the day on the boat. They'll text back and forth. They'll visit with each other at night and talk about the patterns and stuff they had and the baits they caught them on. I've seen both sides of this coin. They can either help or hurt an individual's chances in that tournament. Sometimes your buddy tells you something that kind of sends you in the wrong direction. Other times he'll tell you some little something that unlocks a key. And I can give you stories, exact stories on both situations. I worked with a couple of really good buddies. Tommy Mansour was a good friend of mine, and two or three other guys. Obviously, my guys on our Quaker State fishing team, fishing for shell, Quaker State brand of shell. And the one thing, Scott Canterbury and Man Airy, both those guys, tremendous tournament fishing. Tommy Mansour, a great tournament fisherman. A few others that we worked with, but those guys I worked with just about every single tournament. And we didn't have a pact or anything like that. It's just that when we visited with each other, we were always trying to help each other. We were telling each other the absolute truth. And this is the big thing, is telling the absolute truth. And with this little deal we're talking about, bad friends will ruin good habits. Some of you have friends that are not telling you the truth all the time. Think about that one right there. Some of you have friends that are not telling you the truth all of the time. Close friendships like this often happen in other activities on all aspects of our life. God doesn't give very much leeway here. God simply tells us that bad friends will ruin good habits. He pretty much tells us to avoid having bad friends. That's what God's really saying to you. You got some bad friends? Might figure out a way to end that friendship. None of us wants bad friends, but most of us have some who wouldn't rank too high on somebody else's list. I've had enough bad friends to know that you'll pay a very high price for poorly chosen relationships nearly every single time. You hear what I'm saying again? I've had enough bad friends to know that you will pay a very high price for poorly chosen relationships nearly every single time. Nearly every single time. And some of the times the price has been in the hundreds of thousands of dollars with me for choosing bad friends. And you know, I think when you're younger, as you get older, you get a little bit better at choosing really the right kind of friends. And you realize the attributes that some of the people have that want to be your friends are not the kind of attributes that you want as friends. So you don't really become friends with those kind of people. But I think one of the things that when we're a little bit younger, when you get those people out there that are kind of living on the edge, you get those buddies that are kind of, not really caring about anything that goes on and thinking they're just bulletproof. And you want to be bulletproof also. So you kind of like to run around with them because they're living on the edge. But those kind of friends are the ones that you'll generally pay a really high price for. God says they'll change us for the worse, even while He is changing us for the better. God says that they will change us for the worse, while He is trying to change us for the better. We'll never stay exactly the same. Doesn't matter how young we are, how old we are, how old we become. We're not ever going to stay exactly the same. We're going to either get better or get worse. Overall, we're going to get better or get worse in certain individual characteristics and traits that we may have or do. I've heard them talk about marriage, and I'm not an expert on marriage by any stretch of the imagination, nor am I even an expert on one woman that I've been married to for 57 years, but I've learned a lot about it. I do know a lot about marriage. And they talked about the fact in marriage how when you marry a girl when she's, as Chris and I did when we were teenagers, she's not the same girl when she's 30 as she was when she's a teenager. She's not the same girl at 40 or 50. I'm not the same guy. I act about the same. I got to admit that. But, you know, as we change, we have to be cemented in those kind of relationships, like in a marriage, cemented with a person that can accept the fact that you're different at 30 than you were at 19, and at 40 than you were at 25, and on and on and on. And as those times go by, if you cemented that relationship correctly, you're going to have a marriage that lasts. You're going to have a marriage that lasts. And a relationship's got to be cemented in God. It's got to be cemented in love. It's got to be cemented in respect, in faithfulness, in all kinds of things. But relationships, no matter what they are, and marriage is probably the most critical one that we will ever have, except with our relationship with our Maker. If it's cemented in the right stuff, it's going to go through every situation and come out with a positive end. It really will. The last sentence I put down here says that even while he is changing us for the better. Now that's one thing we can always take take to the bank. God is always changing us for the better. All we got to do is just allow him. All we got to do is just listen to him, and he will always change us for the better. Here's our tip for today. Search out lay down logs that have a fork in the limbs. Now, don't none of y'all pop off and say, if you find a fork in the water, pick it up. If you find a fork in the limbs, pick it up. Talking about a fork. Two places, you know, where a branch comes out and makes a fork. Those junction areas and that fork is always a good place to find a fish. So if you find a lay down log that's got branches coming out, everywhere there's forks, everywhere the branch meets the log, those are the kind of places where those fish are going to be. The other one little thing that I thought I might have said right here, and I might say it somewhere else in the book, but by the way, if this is our Catch of the Day book, if you're not subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button right now. But I forgot what I was going to say. And the other little tip I was going to throw at you on a log, that's what I was going to say, is find the oldest, slick-looking logs. Logs that's got bark still on them. They can be good, but they're not nearly as good as those slick logs. Those logs that's been there a long time. Those fish have got used to those logs, and those are the logs that you're going to catch the most fish out of. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one today. And remember, I sure do love you.